Today in our 2013 Fiat 500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Roadmaster Crossbar-Style base plate kit with removable arms. So here's what our base plate is going to look like once we have it installed in our Fiat. And this is going to serve as the attachment point that our tow bar is going to hook up to so we can safely flat tow it down the road. What I really like about our base plate is the fact that these arms are going to be removable. You just twist them and pull them out, and that will have a really low profile look where it's not going to be changing a whole lot, because we can always remove the safety cables and quick disconnects if we like as well. To put it in, it's going to be just as easy. Slide it in and rotate it, and it'll lock it into position. Our base plate is going to be compatible with quick disconnect bars as well as all Roadmaster tow bars. So it's going to be a real easy way to hook up so we can get down the road. Like most base plates, our safety chain connection point is going to be out towards the edge, and they do provide us with some quick links and some short extension cables. That way we can make sure we have enough room to hook up to our motorhome. They're also going to provide us with two prongs here. That way we can mount up any kind of electrical socket, whether it's a 4, 5, or 6-way. It'll be ready for us whenever we tow. Now, as far as the installation goes, we are going to have to remove the front fascia and do some minor trimming in the lower grille here. But this is going to be a very straightforward installation as far as base plates go. And let's show you how to do that now. To begin the installation, we're going to want to open up the hood on our Fiat, and right underneath we'll have 4 fasteners along the front edge that we're going to have to pull out. So we're going to grab a T30 Torx bit and we'll pull them out. Then if we move underneath the front, we're going to have 3 more fasteners that are just like it. So we'll go ahead and pull those out as well. Now if we move to the outside edge on the front, we're going to have a Phillips screw that's holding the fascia to the inner fender liner here. So we're going to grab a Phillips bit or a screwdriver and we're going to pull that out. You want to make sure you pull the screw out from both sides. Next we're going to move to the front of our front wheel well. We're going to have 3 fasteners that are holding it in place. So again, we'll grab a Phillips bit or a Phillips screwdriver, and we're going to pull out all 3 screws on both sides. And once you have the screws removed, we'll peel back the liner, and we're going to want to find where the fender meets the fascia here. And if we look up, we're going to have another one of those Torx fasteners that's holding it in place. So we can grab our T30 Torx bit, and we'll pull that screw out. Now if we pull back our liner, we are going to have this reflector and light right here. You want to make sure you unplug that before we start to pull our fascia away. So we'll press in on the tab, pull the connector out, and we'll repeat that for the other side as well. Now would be a good idea to grab an extra set of hands. We'll start where our fender meets our fascia, and we're going to start pulling away until the clips start releasing, working our way towards the center. Now if you didn't unplug your lights, now would be a good time to unplug your fog lights, your headlights, and any other electrical connectors that may be connected. We're going to have this wire that does go across the front. It'll go to the driver's side, and we'll have this connector here. We'll push in on the tab, we can disconnect it, but the plug is still going to be attached, so we're going to want to pull that plug off so we can pull the fascia aside and set it somewhere where it won't get damaged. Behind the fascia we'll have our bumper beam. It's going to be held on by 2 bolts on the bottom here and 2 large bolts on top, as well as 1 small nut. So I'll grab a 15mm socket. I'm going to start pulling out all the bolts. And for the small nut on top, I'm actually going to take a little bit of spray lubricant just because ours has quite a bit of rust on it. We'll let it soak, and we're going to come back with a 10mm socket and pull the nut off. Then we can pull our bumper beam off and set it aside. we're going to want to grab all of our factory bolts that we pulled out from earlier. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on each one of them before we put our base plate up. Now you want to make sure you put red Loctite on all your hardware before you torque everything down. We're going to line up the end of our base plate with the 4 holes, and we'll take one of our bolts that has a Loctite on it, and you want to make sure that you at least get it started hand tight, one on each side. That way our base plate will support itself, we don't have to worry about it falling down. Now I'm going to come back with that 15mm socket, and I'm going to snug up all my hardware. I'm going to come back with a torque wrench, and I'm going to torque all my hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. And you want to make sure you go back and you repeat that for all the remaining hardware you have. With our base plate torqued down, I'm going to hold my fascia as close as I can to the factory position, because we're going to have to trim out a little bit in the lower grill area so that our arms can come through, as well as the electrical connectors. So I'm just going to take a marker. I'm going to mark out the areas that need to be trimmed. Just going around the edge here. And I'm going to cut out everything in between the marks that I made. So we're going to be removing all of this. And we'll measure out everything on the other side. We'll trim that as well. Now I'm just going to use a pair of tin snips. You use whatever you have available, a razor knife, a pair of cutters, or a Dremel tool. You just want to take your time, and I always suggest you cut as little as possible, because we can always come back and cut more if we need to. We'll test this cut, and then we can always come back and clean up the edges as necessary. As you can see, our cut's made plenty of room, and even for our electrical connector here, it does fit in between the honeycomb grill. So now we can go ahead and fully put our fascia back on, plug all the electrical connectors back in, and put all the fasteners back that we took out. Now the final step is going to be attaching our quick links and safety cables to our base plate. The bottom of the receiver there will have a tab on each side. We'll slide our quick link over, then we'll take our short safety cable, put it on the end. We'll make sure everything's nice and closed up and tight. We'll do this on both sides. So we can grab the arm now. There's going to be a flat spot. And if we look on the other side of the tube, there's going to be a flat spot with a notch. You want that notch to be pointing down when we put it in there. So we'll put it in, and then we'll rotate it towards the outside, and that'll lock it into place. Now one quick tip, if you don't want this short safety cable to be banging around, scratching up the front of your car, you can just take a zip tie. You can actually use the front of your base plate to just hold it up out of the way. They don't need to be real tight, just loose enough to keep that cable away from sliding around. That'll finish up your look at the Roadmaster Crossbar-Style base plate kit with removable arms on our 2013 Fiat 500.